I'm Liz Faublas, and this is Current's Year in Review. Tonight, we are looking at the incredible stories that made headlines in 2012. And the one story that dominated the news for much of the year, the presidential election. On Election Day, voters sent President Obama back to the White House for a second term. Obama and Vice President Joe Biden defeated the Republican ticket of Mitt Romney and Paul Ryan. Now, one of the issues much discussed during the election, the federal contraception mandate. The measure requires all employee health insurance plans to cover contraception, sterilization, and other abortion-inducing drugs. Now, the day the mandate took effect, Father Frank Pavone of the pro-life organization Priests for Life announced that his organization would not comply. My question to Father Pavone, when did he make that decision?
Well, actually, we made that decision right from the very first moment we became aware of the mandate. And we were told, of course, back in the early part of this year that the administration was going to give a year for those who had religious objections to, quote, adapt to the new rule. And first of all, we don't qualify for the exemption. That's another story. But secondly, we said right away to the administration back in February, we don't want the year. We don't need a minute to consider this because we don't adapt to injustice. We oppose it. And so we were actually one of the very first groups to launch a lawsuit against this mandate. We filed ours in early February, and so we are actually the fourth of the 24 lawsuits involving 58 plaintiffs. Mm-hmm. And so and our case is moving along through the courts.
Okay.
And that's what we're doing.
And Father, help us understand this. Now, the mandate enforced starting on August 1st deals only with non-religious entities with religious objections, to put it as simply as possible without watering it down. Priests for Life do not qualify for the year that the government has offered certain groups to adapt to this mandate. How is that so?
Yeah, it sounds strange, doesn't it? Well, first of all, the administration says that religious groups are those that serve primarily just those of their own faith. But we, in Saving Lives from Abortion, are serving everybody, people of every faith and some of no faith at all. So we don't make that distinction in our outreach to the public. That's one factor. Another factor is, and this is more for the legal experts to comment on, but this all involves sometimes some very complicated analysis of the particular structure of the organization, the particulars of their insurance plan, et cetera, et cetera. And in analyzing all of that, our legal team has come to the conclusion that we are not under the exemption, so that for us, the mandate has taken effect already as of August 1st.
Now, Father, you're looking at hefty fines coming forward. How do you plan on dealing with the financial fallout from this decision, should you have to pay those fines?
Well, we're not going to pay them. I mean, the government can send us all the paperwork at once, but they're not going to get one penny because the money that's been given to us has been given by people who want to see an end to abortion, not paying for it in any way, shape, or form. So, no, we're just not. We're just going to say, sorry, we haven't got any money for you, and then they're going to have to make the next decisions. Now, we don't know how these fines are going to be, what's going to happen in that regard. But there's even a more troubling aspect of this is that even as of now, before any fines are imposed, if we had not made the statement we made yesterday, clearly saying that we're not going to obey this, then we run the risk of giving scandal, losing our moral integrity, because people are, under the understanding, okay, the mandate has started, and if they hear just silence from groups like us, then they're going to say, oh, well, maybe they're finding a way to go along with it or to compromise with the government, and we want to make it clear that's not the case.
Certainly an issue that defined the election season for many voters, and we certainly have not heard the end of it. And just before the election, the lives of residents in portions of the country were literally turned upside down as Hurricane Sandy struck. In the Diocese of Brooklyn, the Rockaways were particularly hard hit. On Thanksgiving Day, Bishop DiMarzio celebrated Mass there.
Today we're here at St. Rose of Lima in Rockaway for Mass because this is one of the areas very hard hit. We still don't have electricity or heat in the church, but I wanted to be with these people today because they continue to be suffering. And on a day like Thanksgiving, we have to have a spiritual sense. And At the same time, we try to help people, alleviate the suffering, but we can't curse the darkness. We have to light a candle.
Financially, we've taken a hit because the attendance has been lower than usual. People are not sometimes even in the neighborhood anymore. They've gone to live with relatives or try to find another place to live.
Over 150 houses were just burnt to the ground, and these are people that have been a part of my life. So it's huge, but it also is humbling, and it is something that you realize, like, life can be shortened, could be gone at any moment, and you do what you can, and you accept the graces that God gives you, and you just pick up and you go with the pieces, and you say, all right, Lord, you woke me up, you gave me another day, and we're here to help, and we do what we have to do.
I was displaced, and 3 times I went from here to Howard Beach, and from Howard Beach they got flooded out to Woodhaven, and from Woodhaven we lost heat and hot water in the building, so I just said, okay, I went to the mountain. I went upstate. I said, okay, God, I'm going into nature again, and it was a good thing, because I really felt my soul become peaceful through all this havoc and catastrophe.
Despite everything else that was going on, people found their way to the church.
Everyone's there for one another, more than any outsider. The community's taking care of one another, neighbors, sharing water, sharing food, doing each other's laundry when they can, just helping clean out houses and rebuild one step at a time. It's very humbling.
Still a lot of help needed, and it's going to take a long, long time, and I just fear that the neighborhood will never be the way it was.
It's devastating, and I just hope everybody goes back to their roots with God and makes a stronger relationship and bonds with Him more. Really go into their heart and bond with the Lord again, to really, say they trust in Him.
And we continue to pray for all those affected by Hurricane Sandy. Meanwhile, just over 2 weeks ago, the small Connecticut community of Newtown was rocked to the core when a gunman opened fire in an elementary school, killing 20 students and 6 adults. In the week following the massacre, residents set up memorials in the center of town. Pope Benedict said he was deeply saddened by the senseless violence. The Holy Father assured the families of the victims, particularly those who lost a child, of his prayers. Welcome back to Currents Year in Review. In 2012, Pope Benedict created 28 new cardinals, including 22 in a consistory that took place back in February. Among that number, New York Archbishop Timothy Dolan. Also elevated during that consistory, former New York Auxiliary Bishop Edwin O'Brien, currently the head of the Knights of the Holy Sepulchre. And Pope Benedict also named 2 new auxiliary bishops for the Diocese of Brooklyn. A mass of episcopal ordination took place at Our Lady of Angels Church in Bay Ridge back in July.
It gives me great joy to be with you today as Monsignors Raymond Chapetto and Paul Sanchez, native sons of this beloved diocese, are ordained to the fullness of the priesthood and begin their service as auxiliary bishops.
Today is a wonderful day for the Diocese of Brooklyn. We are ordaining two bishops to be auxiliary bishops of Brooklyn, Bishop Chapetto to be and Bishop Sanchez to be.
You have two wonderful new auxiliary bishops here. And Bishop Chapetto and Bishop Sanchez, I think, will represent the good Bishop DiMarzio and this wonderful diocese as nobody else in the world could. They're two very distinguished, fine, and very devout, wonderful bishops.
I hope they're inspired, that see that the church continues, that the leadership of the church is important for the future. I think that's truly important for the work of the church to know that the succession of the successes of the apostles continues today.
It's a great joy, you know. It's that our diocese has two new shepherds for its flock, you know, two new shepherds to assist our main shepherd, our ordinary Bishop DiMarzio. So it's a great joy for our diocese and for the people of God here in the Diocese of Brooklyn.
Well, it means that we have people that will help in the administration of the diocese. You know, bishops are responsible for administrative affairs, and Bishop Chapetto will be the vicar for clergy as he is now, and Bishop Sanchez will be working with some of the territorial issues.
It is truly a privilege and an honor to work with you in this great Diocese of Brooklyn. Your love and your support is greatly appreciated. I was really overcome with emotion at that moment in the ceremony when the bishop laid his hands upon me. So I realized what an awesome moment that was. How powerful the presence of the Holy Spirit was at that moment. I felt the prayers of all the people, I felt the love of God, and I felt that this was what God was asking me to do.
It's such an honor. I think it all kind of came to life today to see such an amazing ceremony and just to see the joy in his face, and then the way he spoke at the end of the ceremony. I couldn't have been more perfect, and just thanking every person that's touched his life and basically how he got to where he is today. I think it all kind of came full circle, and it was such an honor to be here.
May the blessing of this Eucharist continue to bring grace into our hearts. I love you all. God bless you all. Glory be to God forever.
It's a beautiful experience, you know, being with God's people, being with the leadership of the church, you know, believing in the power of prayer, the grace of the Holy Spirit, remembering your loved ones, your family, your deceased. My parents are deceased. Praying with people, it was just a tremendously uplifting experience. The grace of God never ceases to amaze, you know, never ceases to surprise us.
May, in your years as auxiliary bishop, you take great joy in supporting Bishop DiMarzio with all of the care and compassion, with all of the wisdom and indeed the friendship and love that was showered upon me by the two bishops of Brooklyn. I can assure you, if you live your years as auxiliary bishop in that way, you will have happy, happy years, blessed years here and hereafter.
In 2012, the Diocese of Brooklyn also mourned the death of a former auxiliary bishop, Brooklyn native Cardinal Anthony Bevilacqua, who died at the end of January. Cardinal Bevilacqua was the retired Archbishop of Philadelphia. Here in the Brooklyn Diocese, he founded the Catholic Migration Office. Cardinal Bevilacqua was 88 years old. Welcome back to Currents Year in Review. Our news director, Ed Wilkinson, went into the deep with Bishop DiMarzio for a look back.
Bishop, Happy New Year.
Same to you.
Good to see you. And I know this is going to be a memorable year for you because this is going to be your 10th year here in the Diocese of Brooklyn.
Oh boy,
does
where
it
the
seem
time
like that?
go? No, I don't. Doesn't look like 10 years, but it is.
One of the great events of of course, there have been some tragedies that we've been through, Hurricane Sandy, of course, and the shooting in Connecticut. But there were some nice stories also in 2012, and particularly we got 2 new bishops here in
That's
Brooklyn.
right. That was a great thing during the summer. We were able to ordain Bishop Geppetto, Bishop Sanchez, very well respected and beloved priest of the diocese. So that's a wonderful addition to our team.
Sure. How do they help you? What do they do for you?
Well, for the most part, they have different responsibilities. Bishop Sanchez was a vicar, and he's finishing that job up, but he'll be a pastor now. But also he'll be taking care of some of the other difficult areas of administration for us. At the same time, Bishop Geppetto was the vicar for clergy, where all of the clergy issues, the placement of clergy, he's helping me with that. So they both have their own responsibilities, and they're very helpful to me.
Certainly very popular choices.
Yes.
And another nice trend is that the number of men who are studying for the priesthood is on the up.
That's right. It's a national trend, and thank God that trend is holding here in Brooklyn and Queens.
And it's changed. Our seminary training changed in this past year also.
That's right. We were able to consolidate our college program and then also our major theology program at Dunwoody for all the 3 dioceses of the southern part of the state, and the same thing with the college program at Douglaston, which we're running. So it is a great thing because we have more people to work with. You have a better quality education, and really we think it's going to be a real improvement.
Is that working out up in Dunwoody? Have you been up there to see
Yes,
the
I
men?
was. It was good spirit. I did lector and acolyte there. It's almost 2 months now. But no, they really have pulled it together very well.
And of course, we're always interested in the demographics of the diocese and how it's changing. And we're beginning to see a bit of a shift in who is coming here to Brooklyn and Queens.
That's
Who are the
right.
immigrants? Tell us
Well,
about that.
when we looked at the census from 2000 to 2010, the number of Chinese people has actually doubled from about 250,000 to almost 480,000. So that's a major shift. And at the same time, recognizing that's a major population influx in our diocese that we have to pay attention to. We were happy last Easter. We were able to baptize 132 Chinese-born people in our churches. So there's about 3 or 4 places where that's happening. And we hope this coming year to develop a better pastoral plan so that we can really focus in on the needs of that community and evangelization, because it really is evangelization. They're not Christians, and we have a good opportunity to evangelize.
As the year came to the end, we lost a very prominent layperson here in the diocese, Dr. Frank Macchiarola. Say something about what kind of a man he was.
Well, Frank was an interesting fellow. On the news report, I heard a reporter saying, whenever you talked to Frank, you knew that you were leaving a good guy. Well, I'm going to go further. Not just a good guy, a holy guy.
Yeah.
He really was a tremendously fervent Catholic, and that influenced his whole life. I mean, he was the chancellor of the school system here in New York City, which was a very difficult job at that time. It's always difficult, I guess, but he had a tough time. And chancellor of the St. Francis College and president before that. A man of extraordinary talent and extraordinary humanness and holiness. I think he just really believed. I never found, one of the few people I've been able to assist a bit as someone's dying, and to have the not just resignation, but the acceptance that he had, an understanding of eternal life and what was happening to him, and the calmness and the prayerfulness. It was absolutely inspiring.
And he served on some very important diocesan committees
yes,
also,
he
right?
was on the finance council for the diocese, and the commission for our schools, the Blue Ribbon Commission for the schools. I mean, he was on so many things, different boards. I mean, he just gave himself completely to the work of the church.
Yeah. And finally, as you look forward now to your 10th year here in Brooklyn, do you have any specific goals or any desires?
Well,
for
I
this
think we're
coming-
going to produce a 10-year report. I think it would be good to look back and see what's been accomplished and what needs to be accomplished yet. That's a good benchmark. I think we're going to try to work on that this coming year to see how we can pull things together and make it a little understandable to people.
Great. Bishop, thanks for being with us. And,
Okay, you're more
Happy
than
New
welcome.
Year to you.
All right. God bless.
We have more of our Currents Year in Review straight ahead. Finally tonight, another honor for the Brooklyn Diocese from Pope Benedict. The Holy Father designated Regina Pacis Church as a minor basilica. Bishop DiMarzio celebrated a mass to mark the occasion earlier this month.
Today, by happy coincidence, we celebrate this feast of the Immaculate Conception as we dedicate this basilica to Our Lady of Peace, Regina Pacis.
Today is the inauguration of Regina Pacis Basilica, the celebration of the Mass by Bishop DiMarzio. He blessed the symbols of the basilica, which are the tintinnabulum, the bell, and the umbrella, the ombrellone, the umbrella that signifies the union, a particular union and relationship between this church and the Holy Father.
With 19,000 Catholic churches in the United States and only 75 are basilicas, and we're number 75, that's a great, great honor. But it also means that it's the Pope's church. The tintinnabulum is a bell on a big pole with the Pope's coat of arms on it. That is to be rung if the Pope was coming. And the umbrellino is there to greet him when he comes. It's in the papal colors of red and gold, and that would be held over his head as he arrived.
A basilica is like, it used to be a shrine, but now it's even more than a shrine. People from every generation, no matter if you are Afro-American, Caucasian, Chinese, they all come to this area now.
So in the petition that Bishop DiMarzio wrote and asked him for this, he explained the cultural and historic importance of the church, the artistic value of the church, the great love of the church by the people who built it from nothing. And, you know, those kinds of things are compelling arguments that make them understand in the Vatican that this is a place worthy of the Pope.
When a church is designated as a basilica, it's a church of special spiritual significance. They're usually churches of great significance in terms of people coming here on a pilgrimage. This church is a church that has served this community, this particular church building, since after the Second World War, as the bishop mentioned during his homily.
62 years ago, this church was dedicated. It was a church that was built because of a promise. The motto of this basilica is ex voto. It means a vow, because of a vow.
It was a church built as a vow to our Blessed Mother in the safe return of the men and women after the Second World War. And at this time, there was a significant Italian-American community here, and they were instrumental in building this church in honor of Regina Pacis, which is Latin for a Queen of Peace. This whole community in this parish in particular, this church has taken on a whole new vibrance. We have Mass here every weekend in 4 different languages: English, Italian, Spanish, and Chinese. It represents a diversity of not only this area, but the diocese and the Catholics in our diocese and in the large American church.
Regina Pacis is one of 3 basilicas in Brooklyn, joining St. James Cathedral in downtown Brooklyn and Our Lady of Perpetual Help in Sunset Park. Well, that is all for our special Year in Review edition of Currents. Thank you for watching, and Happy New Year.
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year!
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year!
Merry Christmas from the Communications Office and
External Affairs.
On behalf of Catholic Telemedia Network,
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year!
Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year!
Feliz Navidad, próspero año y felicidad. Desde nuestro corazón hacia ustedes, feliz Navidad.
Feliz Navidad.
Bye.
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year from the production.
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year from the Finance Department.
Merry Christmas from the Business Development Department.
From the Tablets editorial staff,
Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
It has been an incredible year, thanks in part to your support and your love. And we really want to wish you a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year from our Currents family to yours.
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.